another live stream. This time we are at beautiful Dublin Airport. Over there you can see right there in front of you there is the Turkish cargo Airbus A330. That is the main highlight for today. Obviously, as you can see, I'm on the mound and I don't have a very good place to put my tripod, which means a lot of this will be unstable and probably not very good. But up here, taking off, we have a Ryanair Boeing 737 right here. Yep, so that was a Ryanair Boeing 737 MAX 8-200 to Warsaw Modlin, registered as SPRZU. Over there you can see in front of you the UPS Boeing 767 taxiing to its area following an arrival from Louisville. Oh, you can zoom in! You can zoom in! Oh my days! I didn't know this whatsoever. Wow. Also, over there, you guys can see the beautiful Emirates Etihad aircraft that are grounded here following the war in Iran. Up next, we have a Ryanair Boeing 737-800 registered as EI DPF flying over to London Gatwick. So, yeah, very nice indeed. There is the highlight, the Turkish Airlines, well, Turkish cargo, shall I say, A330 right there. Again, very wobbly because there's no real place that offers a view of the aircraft taking off and at the same time being smooth. So I guess this will have to do. So taking off now, we should have a Ryanair Boeing 737-800 heading over to London Gatwick. And over there, taxiing right in front of you, is a Lufthansa City Airbus A320, I believe, heading over to Frankfurt. Again, very beautiful weather here, sunset at Dublin Airport. This is a general view of the airport. You can see a very big area is closed off. That's because of construction at Dublin Airport. The entire south runway is meant to be closed for renovations because of heavy rainfall, which is quite interesting. You can also see there in the distance a TY Boeing 737, which is interesting as well. On the apron, yeah, that's largely it. Right now we have a Boeing 737-800 taking off to London Gatwick. So that was the Ryanair Boeing 737-800 to London Gatwick that just took off right there. But up next we have the Turkish cargo currently standing there, as you can see right there, heading over to that's not Istanbul, to Oslo, funnily enough. Over there taxiing, we have a Ryanair aircraft, 737-800 to Birmingham, taxiing right in front of you there. I don't know why the Turkish cargo and the Lufthansa City has stopped its taxi to the runway. Oh, here we have the A330 beginning its taxi again, resuming to the runway. Let me see if I can just put this down real quick. I might need some nice pictures. I'm not entirely sure why it says orientation is locked. Rotate device back. Okay, I don't know how that works. But right now we should have the Turkish cargo probably at the end of runway 10 right, I believe. Again, a very beautiful sunset here at Dublin Airport. We have quite the rush now at Dublin Airport. We have firstly the Turkish cargo A330, followed by Lufthansa City to Munich and Airbus A320neo, then a Ryanair Boeing 737-800 to Birmingham, followed by an Aer Lingus Airbus A320 to Paris Charles de Gaulle, all on that taxiway right there, departing probably within the next 5 to 10 minutes. Again, you can see the Dublin Airport taxiway cordoned off or closed off for a renovation. That has been like that for a very good amount of months, and I think, now obviously I'm not an expert, that is why runway 1634, the runway right there, is closed off. Otherwise we would have seen it so many times used for crosswind landings, and obviously I wouldn't have to sit through quite a few crosswind landings, which you can see on my channel as well. I believe the Turkish A330 is now lining up. Oh, would you look at that? It's the Lufthansa City Airbus A320 that has overtaken the Turkish to take off. Sorry, taking off one taxiway earlier than the official runway 10 right threshold. That is now taking off. The Lufthansa City Airbus A320neo taking off to Munich. I think it is begin its takeoff roll right now. It should be, oh, I can see it right there. Enjoy the beautiful takeoff. That was the Lufthansa City to Munich, the Airbus A320neo, registered as DAIIA, a brand new A320neo, taking off 22 minutes late. Over there we have in front of us a British Airways Airbus A321neo taxiing to runway. But right now we have the one and only Turkish cargo A330 lining up for takeoff to Oslo. This might be a very good one, and thank goodness it's still bright. It is taking off over 1 hour late. That's right, the Turkish cargo A330 taking off any second now, heading over to Oslo. The 14-year-old A330 registered as TCJDP arriving in today to Dublin from Istanbul, taking off over an hour late. It has now begun its takeoff roll. Please sit back and enjoy the beautiful sunset takeoff. There it is. I can see it here. Wow, that was an incredibly early rotation. I was definitely not expecting that. It must have arrived here from Istanbul, probably carrying some cargo, and then heading back empty to Oslo. I mean, I don't know, maybe it just has some very light cargo. But up next, we have a Ryanair Boeing 737-800 heading over to Birmingham, registered as EIDWY, the older, I guess, batch of Ryanair 737s, you can say, 18 years old. Right in front of us, we can see the British Airways Airbus A321neo heading over to London Heathrow. So far, as I can see on flight radar, obviously the 737 is now lined up for takeoff on runway 10 right, and the Turkish cargo is now passing 2,600 feet, only 130 knots. That is surprising. As it's getting pretty dark now, I think I will probably leave the stream after the British Airways takes off. Over there in the distance, you can obviously see the grounded Etihad and Emirates aircraft. That's a 777s, two 777s right there, following the war in Iran and strikes in the Middle East. And right there, taxiing next to them, you can see the Airbus A321neo. In the distance, you can see landing is a Ryanair from Palma de Mallorca, MAX 8 EIILE, a brand new 737 MAX 8. Here's another view of the airport right now. As you can see, a lot of Terminal 2 right there. The pier is very, very dry. But taking off now, we have the Ryanair 737-800 now has just begun its takeoff roll. Any second now, there it is. EIDWY, the 18-year-old 737-800 to Birmingham. That is right, EIDWY heading over to Birmingham, right there in the distance, already crossing over 1,000 feet. We have some pretty quick rotations here this evening, but lining up right now is the Aer Lingus Airbus A320 heading over to Paris Charles de Gaulle. Further departures for this evening, anyone interested, we have a FedEx 767 taking off, apparently a little delayed, scheduled for 6:35, says here 6:57. So far it says that the Etihad has not been cancelled, which is quite surprising. Then at 7:51 we have the UPS heading over to London Stansted, another 767. We have the Emirates cancelled this evening as well, and then we have a lot of cargo aircraft taking off this evening. We have Titan Airways, which I don't think is cargo, and DHL and stuff. But right now we have the Aer Lingus A320 taking off right now, heading over to Paris Charles de Gaulle. That is EIDEH, I believe, heading over to Paris Charles de Gaulle, a 21-year-old aircraft. Now that is pretty old in my opinion. I mean, Well, for European standards, I know that the Americans tend to have very older aircraft, such as the stuff that comes here in the summer, very old 20-plus-year-old 757s, 777s, 767s, and so forth. The Turkish cargo took off to Oslo, just there, crossing 10,000 feet. Landing on the north runway, we can see probably, let me try zoom in. Right there is the SAS A320neo landing in from Copenhagen. Again, I apologize for the ridiculous stability. Unfortunately, my tripod is not big enough and it would not allow for a very good view. So I'm doing this handheld with some pretty cold hands, unfortunately. And obviously, while you can see the landing of the A320neo, you can see all the Middle Eastern carriers parked up there again. Quite interesting to see. I wonder how long that will be grounded there for. But we have quite the rush here. You can see some pretty bright lights over there. Taxiing is the Finnair Embraer E190LR heading over to Helsinki. And our final catch for today, unfortunately, as I am getting pretty cold, is the British Airways A321neo, the last one for this evening's stream. Getting onto the runway, one taxiway early, which means we might have a very nice view of the A321neo taking off. I believe it is lining up on the runway right now. That is GTNED, a one-year-old Airbus A321neo, heading over to London Heathrow, British Airways. Beginning its takeoff roll right around now, I believe. There it is, I can see it. The A321neo to London Heathrow. And that is it for tonight. Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. That is GTNED heading over to London Heathrow, an A321neo, a very diverse allocation, I suppose, for British Airways, as they put on anything from A319s to A320s to A321neos. That is all for today. As I said, for anyone else interested for departures, bunch of cargo aircraft from UPS to DHL to Maersk to ASL Airlines, the whole in between. And obviously you can see all the carriers right there in the distance, all the cargo carriers, all the aprons, TUI all grounded. And I believe that is it for today. Another final view of the apron. Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in, and I will see you guys in the next one. Have a very nice evening and goodbye.